Hello, everyone, and welcome to Claris Community Live. It's great to be back with you after we took last month off to prepare and present Claris Engage. And I'm super excited today to have with me Ronnie Rios from the product management team at Claris and Cris Ippolite, president of iSolutions. And we're going to have a conversation about the best AI sessions and what we learned about what the community is doing with AI in their FileMaker and Claris apps at Engage. So to kick it off, looks like people have already found the opening survey. So please click on the three dots down in the corner and bring up Slido and just answer our two questions. We've got a couple of questions just to get a sense of where you are on your AI journey. And then at the end, we'll have a couple more questions. But first, to kick it off, Ronnie, why don't you kind of set the framework for what we were trying to do with the heavy AI emphasis at Claris Engage this year?
Yeah, thanks, Rosemary. Happy to be back here. And yeah, Engage was very, very exciting. It was our second year back in person. It was just really fantastic. And like you said, we're not immune to what's happening. We're kind of unveiling this time around our AI strategy and talking a little bit more in depth of what we've been working on for the last year and a half as things start popping up and start becoming visible. So actually, don't mind, I'll show a little bit here. During our keynote, we actually talked a little bit more, gave a little bit more color about our strategy and how we're looking at this from two different focus points right now. One is making sure that US developers have the building blocks that you need to create the AI-driven applications that your users are demanding, and then also how we're looking at bringing AI to help you create applications faster. And so when we started looking at this, we understood that we figured out that really creating AI-driven applications really isn't that difficult. Where the real challenge lies is in creating reliable and efficient AI applications. And to do that, you need an entire platform with different layers. And it so happens that, for decades, that's exactly what we've been doing. We've been developing a well-integrated and secure platform with all these different layers. But we needed to augment the platform in some of these layers. And so we're doing that with the next release of FileMaker later this year. So we talked a bit about some of those great features that we're bringing into the platform to round out these different layers. We talked about several of those in the keynote and later on sessions throughout Engage. One of my personal favorites, it's no secret, is a new script step that we're bringing into FileMaker 2025 that will make it a lot easier for you to bring large language models into the application. And if it's okay, I'd like to show the demo I did during Engage on how quick and easy it would be. It's going to be to bring LLMs into your applications. This starts with here the application that you see here is very simple, has only a few fields. There's no scripts whatsoever. And so I call this demo 0 to LLM in 60 seconds because that's what it is. But you'll see here, I just configure this button to create have a new script here because there's no scripts. We use the configure AI account, which we introduced last year. We give the account a name. We can choose the provider, and you can choose from several cloud or even locally hosted. Provide the API key, which in this case I took from a field, and the new script step, generate response from model. I've referenced the same account from the previous step. I can type in here which model I want to create the inference or response from this provider. Then what I want to send, kind of the prompt I'm sending out, in this case coming from a field, and then where I want the response to be stored. In this case, I'm going to choose another field. And for fun, I turn on streaming because it's just really cool and fun. Go back to browse mode, click on the send button, and that's it. Like this, we went completely from 0 to fully functional LLM integration. It really is that easy. It's that simple, and we're really, really excited about it. Like I said, there's a ton of other features that we talked about. But I think one of the things that a lot of people were talking about is, well, what happens when all these features come together? What can I actually create? And during the session over there, I did demo something there as well, and I'd like to show it here as well. And just remembered, I did not. Give me 1 second. I'll have to share again. Make sure I've got here. There we go. So one of the things that I showed was some of the types of experiences that you'll be able to create with all these features as all these features come together. So hey there.
Hello. How can I assist you with your customer relationship management app today?
Well, to be honest, to get a better understanding of our sales pipeline, I need to see the number of opportunities per deal stage. Think you can help me with that?
Here is a breakdown of the number of opportunities per deal stage in our sales pipeline. If you need any more details or further analysis, feel free to ask.
Actually, yeah, this is pretty interesting. Do me a favor, create a bar chart with this data.
I've created a bar chart depicting the number of opportunities per deal stage. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to explore.
Wow, I'll be honest, this was really, really cool. Would you be able to create like a sequence diagram showing me exactly how you did this?
I've created a sequence diagram showing the process of how I generated the data and chart. Let me know if you'd like to delve into any other areas.
Well, that was very helpful. I'll tell you what, I do need to do more analysis, but I don't know the database schema very well. Do me a favor and show me a diagram of our tables and the relationships between them.
Here's a diagram of the tables and their relationships within your database schema. This should help you understand the structure for your analysis.
Actually, this does. I'd like to see how many sales agents we have per regional office, please.
Here's the number of sales agents per regional office. Let me know if you'd like to explore anything else.
Well, this is really great, but I just remember I'm going into a meeting now, and I need some sort of company performance report. You think you can help me with that?
Absolutely. I've prepared a company performance report for your meeting. It includes the top 3 accounts by revenue, top selling products, and top salespeople by opportunities won. If you need more information, feel free to let me know.
This is actually going to help a lot. I will be sharing this report with our Latin America colleagues. Can you please create another copy of this report in Spanish?
I've created a Spanish version of the company performance report for your Latin America colleagues. You can share this with them. If you need any more assistance, just let me know.
I think that'll be all for today. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
All right, so yes,
Wow.
during the keynote, and that is real, is all FileMaker, and we're really excited to see what people start building to redo the release.
Yeah, I think like just the applause and astounded sounds of awe from the audience in the keynote from that demo were pretty amazing. And I love Richard in the comments just said, I wish my team were that responsive. Oh, and I just want to say thanks to everyone who jumped into the survey at the beginning. I just want to share like kind of the results of that. So we've had about 130 people respond to the questions. And the first one was, have you experimented with AI in FileMaker 2024? We have, let's see, 7% have something in production. About 40% have played around a little bit. And I will say I am in that category, and I'm in the middle of doing an experiment right now that I hope to share with the community in a few weeks. Thank you, Ronnie, for your help earlier this week in getting me started. About 45% have said not yet, and I don't know where to start. And 9% don't have FileMaker 2024 yet, so they haven't been able to. And then I just want to add, so for those of you who don't know where to start, good place to start is Claris Academy. Our product team, so Ronnie and Doug Wallace, put together a very basic introductory training of just core concepts you need for semantic search. And then we worked with Cris to produce a semantic search AI fundamentals training in Claris Academy that will lead to a new certification. And so if you go to the Claris community and click on, I think it's the Learn menu at the top, go down to Claris Academy, you'll see both of those courses and can earn those. And that's a great place to start to just get familiar with the core concepts and the building blocks that are already available in FileMaker 2024. And as FileMaker's capabilities expand, we'll also be adding additional Claris Academy content to reflect those new lessons, those new capabilities. And in addition, I'm also going to share 2 other community live sessions we did late last year, one with Cris and one with Wim de Court, both about getting started with some. First, Cris did a get started with semantic search, and then Wim did a deep dive into configuring an LLM, a local LLM on your own hardware.
Great one.
And there's another question. Talk about the ease or difficulty of switching to FileMaker version 2024. I think, one question there is, where are you coming from? If you're switching from, FileMaker 16, 17, 18, it's going to be a bigger leap than from, say, FileMaker 2023.
16.
Yeah. It is the same file format, so you should be able to download either the trial or get the licensed version if you already have FileMaker 2024 under license, and just, test, open your files, see how it works, and then go from there. I don't know, Ronnie, Cris, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Super easy, non-destructive upgrade. If you got any curiosity whatsoever, the upgrading process shouldn't hinder that in any way.
Agreed.
And there is a question there about the model support. Ronnie, you want to talk about some of the new model support that came out in the latest version as well, beyond OpenAI?
Yeah, so we're looking at bringing support for other cloud providers. So in addition to OpenAI, we're looking at bringing support for Cohere, which we had partial support for embeddings in the previous FileMaker 2024, but in coming version with access to LLMs, Cohere, and also Anthropic. And we'll continue adding others as well, but also being able to access locally hosted LLMs, which I know a lot of people have been waiting for.
Those are a good topic at Engage, actually.
Yeah. Just a couple of questions here. Yes, I will make the file that you saw here is running as all FileMaker. I will make the file available, and I am cleaning it up a little bit. And there's some code there that needs to be cleaned up and add some comments, but I'll make the file completely available for everybody to use and take apart and learn from it. I recognize that's how I learned most of my FileMaker skills, was looking at other people's files, and I think it helps a lot. So for sure. So some other question over here.
Yeah, I'm just going to address on that. Generally on the upgrade question, Richard, I will follow up with you after the session today and send you links to a couple of resources that we published last year to help walk you through how to think about an upgrade, a big upgrade like from 16 to 2024, and kind of a step-by-step of how to approach it. So we do have some resources available there. Yeah, any other questions you guys want to address right now?
Ronnie, you want to talk a little bit about what you were showing at the keynote? It was a big hit. I think you got the biggest applause pop of the entire keynote. At a couple of spots, actually, what we just watched here was one of them. That sounded pretty amazing, bellowing throughout the halls of the keynote, which, by the way, was a
Yeah,
one large room, everyone back together in the same
yeah,
spot again. That was really good
great.
energy. What did you think about that, Ronnie?
Yeah, that was fantastic. I love being back. First, just being back in person it was you know, after a couple of years away, but yeah, having everybody in one room, the energy was just fantastic. I loved it. And like you said, yeah, we showed several other things. You know, we're talking about in FileMaker 2025, we will be uh, bringing a lot more tools for you to leverage AI on your own uh, in your own installations, in your own deployments of FileMaker Server. So FileMaker Server is getting a brand new tab called the AI Services to help you manage all these new AI tools that you're going to be having. So everything from you know, the obvious, running and you know, hosting and running large language models locally on your own deployments, and being able to choose and download and run them, make them available for your users so that your data stays in control and you stay in control of your data and where it goes. But also we're embeddings will be able to be managed from there. You'll have the ability now also to train your own models. For those who want to venture into fine-tuning models, you'll have the tools built into the platform so that you can take your own data and teach models to speak about your business in the way you do. And we're also including some other things like a RAG server and some other really fantastic tools in there. But this is what the, you know, the industry has been and our community has been gravitating towards. We want AI tools, but we want to do it. We need to bring it the Claris way, and we need a way to make it easy to people to deploy and manage as well. And so we're taking a big step here with the next release. And so we showed several of those things. There's when the session, recordings, the sessions, the recording of the sessions come out, you'll see we went in a little bit more in depth into some of those, and I think it was just really great. We had some really great sessions on those things.
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of questions, Ronnie, specifically
Yeah,
about your demo that have come
yeah.
in.
Mhm.
And that is, how are you um, getting AI to have self-knowledge of the database, both I think
Mm,
the structure,
mhm,
and then there's a
mhm,
second question about as the amount of data in your application grows, how does it scale for performance?
mhm. Yeah. So first on like how does it know the schema is uh, you you might be aware that in last year we introduced a script that allows you to get the definition, the schema, your schema in SQL format, so you can get the DDL. And I just passed that along to the LLM. LLMs love SQL; they understand it. They've been trained on it. There's a lot of data out there, and so I just passed that along. It doesn't need anything else, at least for the schema part or for the database definition. I passed that along, and it can derive the relate because we included the relationships in there as well. So it knows how those relationships are built because we include that in the DDL. So you pass that along and they know that. And as far as the data grows, I'm not sure, you know, it depends on what the implementation is, how that might impact what you're doing. From what I was doing here, the searches might, you know, might impact if, you know, you're doing SQL queries on very, very large data sets. You know, we all know that, you know, pros and cons of SQL. Uh, you know, you might have some performance there, but overall, the secret sauce here really is you're just running FileMaker scripts. So whatever you're doing today, all of your knowledge, all of your skills transfer to this. This is not doing anything. It's not magic. It really is just FileMaker scripts behind the scenes. And so that's all it's doing, just running FileMaker scripts. So all the things that you know, everything from, you know, how to construct scripts, how to make them performant, security, like we're using, it's all the FileMaker security model. So the AI cannot do something that me as a user, the current user that's logged in cannot do. So it cannot access things that I can't access. So it can't retrieve, you know, data that I'm not allowed to. It respects my uh, privilege sets and all that. So
That, by the
yeah,
way, was probably one of the bigger questions that we
yeah,
received, not only in the
yeah, we had that a
sessions,
lot.
but even in the training day as well, too. I think that's worth
Yeah,
address or kind of underscoring a little bit. You want to double click
yeah.
on that part a little too?
Yeah, I mean, AI, it's not, there might be some misconception that AI is not this separate entity or anything like that. It's just an automation. It's just a logic engine, just like scripting, just like calculations. It's just another engine, and it's bound by everything else that we have in the platform. That's why I say that what's really difficult is bringing a platform like this together to create really effective and secure AI. Is because all these pieces need to really align. So you have to have a secure and well integrated platform for this to be really good. And so we have all the pieces there. Like we've been doing this for decades, and so that's why this all works. So the AI really is just in my case here, I've built an agent with all the things that we have in there, and all it's doing is just running scripts that I've made it aware that exist. That's it. I'm not sending, there's very minimal data that's actually going to the LLM. There is some data going there, but there's minimal data. I'm just letting it know, say, hey, I've got a script that allows you to query for data. I have a script that allows you to create charts. I have a script that does X, Y, Z, and it comes back and says, hey, please run this script, pass it along with these parameters, and and we run it. And so everything else stays the same, like all my logs, everything else. It's just like if a user were to trigger those scripts. It's just another.
And a user that has rights already defined within that session. I think
It's like
if you just think of it that way, you can't send
It's the
data
exact
to an
same.
LLM
Yeah.
unless you're the user actually retrieving the
user.
data or inserting the data, and your
Yep.
privileges are going to apply at that point. There's
Yep.
no way
Yep.
to circumvent that.
Yep, there's no way to circumvent that. So that's exactly right. It's like if I was running it, I just have an automated engine that's triggering those for me, but it's still me. It's still bound by my security privileges. So
Definitely
I
important
hope that.
distinction.
Yeah, yeah. We had
Yeah.
several questions about those.
Yeah, I think
about that.
Yeah, the other question that kind of came up generally, I think, Ronnie, and if you want to put up your first slide again, I think that kind of
Yeah.
speaks to it. They're like, okay, so you can build AI agents that help user interaction, but are we also eventually going to have an AI agent to help developers build apps, like many other platforms are already doing? And I think you kind of showed that.
Yeah, we spoke a bit. We spoke a bit about uh, how we're looking at it right now. We are doing a lot of experimentation, and we're looking at different ways that we can do it. One of the things that we have to understand about FileMaker specifically is that developing in FileMaker doesn't happen in a text editor. And so if you look at a lot of the products out there, it's just a text editor, and yeah, you just write some text in there. But developing in FileMaker happens in a lot of places. You have calculations, you've got scripts, you've got layout, you've got security, you've got defined database. There's a lot of things that happen in there, and so we're trying to make sure. Again, we're taking a more long-term, thoughtful approach to AI and making sure that we bring it in the right way to address all of these different challenges. And so we did talk a little bit about. I don't want to dive too deep in here, but we did show some proof of concepts of how we're looking at bringing AI to help making development faster in the platform. But I think the point here is that we are heavily focused on making sure that we can do that. We can bring AI to make your development a lot faster. What that's going to look like, right? It's going to depend on a lot of things, but.
Well, I mean, I think just for me as a, occasional developer, I greatly appreciate even just the script steps that take over writing all the API calls for me. I mean, that is a huge time saver,
Oh, for sure.
especially as I'm someone who, know this much about writing API calls and all the curl options and everything else. So I think that even that just coming to it from the augmentation side, the AI script steps we have already and coming soon are enhancing my productivity.
Yeah, that's a great, it's a good point. And one of the things that we've been stressing out as we're looking at how do we bring those building blocks right into the platform is, well, if we believe and we really, really believe that there's no such thing in the near future of an application that doesn't have AI, some sort of AI. And so if we look at it that way, then we have to make sure that those those operations that you're constantly doing are as easy and you can do those as quickly as possible. We want to make sure that's sufficient. And so having to, create curl options and learning a new API every single time that you have to do it doesn't make sense, right? If you're going to be doing this constantly. And so we want to make sure that you've got the tools that make your development as efficient as possible. Yeah. I'm glad you're seeing it already.
Yeah. And so that was keynote, very high level. And Cris, do you want to do a quick talk through what you showed briefly in the keynote, and then maybe just a couple of the highlights from this session you presented?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, want to thank Claris for giving me a peek into what's brewing over there in the old Claris labs. I think, most of the reaction that I got to what you guys let me show was that can't believe that that's the kind of stuff that's cooking over there. So kind of to extend what you guys were just talking about with developer assistance, if you think about, and honestly, as a trainer for all these years, I really have had a very personal relationship with people getting started, like literally being in the room, watching the look on their face or seeing the emotion that they have when they get frustrated with those first early steps. And there's a lot of concepts to really grok in order for you before you can actually see your first win, right? So anything that can help you kind of smooth through that or even leap right over it is great. And that includes, specific tasks within FileMaker or potentially the entire experience of building something like, for example, Studio or Connect. Ronnie mentioned before that one of the challenges with creating AI integrations within FileMaker is that it's not text-based, right? Or code-based. But Studio and Connect both are. Those are essentially JSON representations of an application and a flow. And one of the things that Claris had cooking that I got to show in the keynote, which was a lot of fun, was the ability to actually speak a problem statement in just your natural language, just like you're talking to a coworker or something. And the system then that's based on language models is able to actually interpret it in the form of the correct view that you would need or the correct Claris Connect flows. And the way that Claris has done that is really kind of clever. You break down every capability of a studio view or the options within a studio view or Claris Connect flow into these little atomic components, like just really boil it down to kind of its base, most base elements, and then train the language models on how to map specific user statements or kind of semantically map to those statements to those capabilities. Give it instructions on how you can construct a flow. Like, for example, it has to start with a trigger followed by actions and talk about how data can be stepped through that, for example. Essentially train the LLM on how to construct those. So what I was able to show was something that literally just allows somebody to express the problem that they're trying to solve, and then they suggested combination. Actually, that was kind of a hidden neat thing, is that it's both a combination of studio views and a supported Claris Connect flow, which is really kind of cool in one solution experience. By only being able to, or all you got to do is just like say what the problem is. And to me, we're all problem solvers, right? So to me, I always imagined that the ultimate problem what an end user really wants, like in a perfect world, they can just like think about a problem and then poof, the answer appears right in front of them. That obviously has been very hard to achieve, but it's amazing to me how close we actually are to that. As a matter of fact, the demonstration that I was showing was less than 5 minutes long, and I was expressing somewhat sophisticated app problem that I wanted to solve, along with some modifications, all in natural language commands. And at the very end of it, hit a little generate button, and there it is inside the platform, where now you can leverage these tools to do more advanced development or maintenance as necessary. And then, of course, be able to leverage FileMaker's infrastructure and security and user management from there. So it was really cool. I sincerely appreciate being able to show that to everybody, and got some pretty decent feedback on that as I was walking around the halls as well. So that was pretty fun.
Cool. And what about your session?
Oh, yes. So I was also excited to be able to show to do a session this year. Really enjoy talking about AI with people. I took a little bit different spin on it this year. I last year, like for example, last year I thought that our community kind of really thirsty for okay, great, AI's here. What can we do with it? What are businesses doing with it? So last year I concentrated on, a couple dozen examples of actual, AI deployments out in the wild so that people could really get inspired. And then this year I wanted to kind of close the loop a little bit further, and I wanted to talk about complete, from idea all the way through to deployment and then into ROI and evaluation from a customer perspective. So I was able to bring in two customers of ours that were able to tell those stories in first person. And, in one case, which was a customer that came all the way out to Austin to tell the story in first person, which was 3M, a huge enterprise that had their first AI deployment was actually embedded within the FileMaker application that we built for them. And that was really exciting. And the best part of it is the end of the story. It ended up saving them tons of money, helping them get through really hard times that they were having from a budget standpoint. And then ultimately ended up winning this internal global marketing award within 3M. And then they spun off all this ROI. They shared a lot of ROI when they were there too, which was just substantial. I mean, like the cost of actually building in the AI stuff was in the 1 or 2% of what their actual realization was of their ROI. And then the second one was another customer where, Ronnie, you and I talk about this all the time. We talk about how the original stuff that was deployed in FileMaker is often referred to as semantic search only.
Yeah.
But really what it is
So
support
much.
for embeddings and vectors. I know that's
Yeah.
a little trigger for you and I when we talk about this. And so what I wanted to do is show an expression of what you can do with embeddings that has nothing to do with semantic search. And it was a perfect use case. It was a job placement. So being able to, I showed 3 different series of embedding job position postings and resumes from both sort of a brute force, converting those documents into embeddings and doing the cosine calculation comparison to determine a score of how semantically similar they are, all the way down to some pretty sophisticated ontology mapping and ideal state mapping. Again, none of it had anything to do with searching, but it very much had to do with leveraging all the FileMaker, the embedding support and the scoring support with cosine similarity calculations. So that was a lot of fun, and being able, and I was happy to give a voice to the customers to be able to talk to that.
Yeah,
Talk
both of those were so good. By the way, I thought you had a great chemistry with your
yeah, everybody keeps saying
so it was so good. It was actually fun to watch. I was there obviously front row and enjoyed it. But the examples are fantastic. Like you said, using vector embeddings for that similarity, just to figure out what the relationship is, and it just, there's just so many great use cases for it, just beyond searching. I think this was illustrated very, very well. It's a great example.
Yeah, we refer to that as semantic scoring. I don't think we made that up at all, but I'm just trying to discern the difference between semantic searching and semantic scoring, which is really just using the cosine similarity function to determine how similar something is. The other example that we showed there, which is close to your heart, Ronnie, is translation. And maybe people don't know, but that a statement in English, like, hi, I'm Cris, and a statement in Spanish, Ronnie, this is your turn.
Hola, soy Cris.
Yeah, those are actually semantically similar if you have a multilingual model, which is pretty fascinating. So not only can you do translations using these multilingual models, but you can actually then do embeddings using multilingual embedding models and compare how accurate a translation was without even having to know, frankly, the different languages. And we were able to show a way that we embellish that with human in the loop reinforcement, which is, I think every example that I was showing was all enhanced by human reinforcement in the process, meaning that we actually had human beings manually score a bunch of translations, determine at what level the appropriate or acceptable semantic score would be, and then we just automate at scale and allow all translations that are above that limit or threshold. So it was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun to do both the keynote and then of course, Ronnie, you and I did a training day together, which was a blast.
That was a lot of fun there as well. And I was going to say about the vector embeddings. Good segue. Ian Jemison did a whole session on using semantic search and vector embeddings, and he actually did a really good showed a demo of something he's working on for a customer where he's using vector embeddings to identify themes from the meeting notes. right? Again, it's just really just trying to figure out what's being discussed in those meetings, and just trying to get a list and using the vector embeddings to kind of really figure out what the correlation is between those particular topics, those themes, and what is captured in the meeting notes. Just it was really great. So highly recommend watching it if you didn't. For those of you who weren't in his session to watch the recording, he did a fantastic session on all things vector embeddings and semantic search.
Speaking of sessions, you guys talk a lot about local LLMs. Rosemary, we had a leveraging local LLM session there as well. That was
I
very
just want
popular.
to jump in. So for people
Yeah.
who weren't at Engage, we did record every Claris Engage session, and probably early to midsummer we will release them publicly. And starting in a few weeks, we'll be releasing sessions to everyone who attended and everybody who had purchased the priority playback pass, which is essentially, it's designed to give you early, immediate access to the recordings. And I believe that is still available. So you can still purchase that if you're super excited and want to get access to all the Engage recordings sooner rather than later. Yeah. So the using local LLMs, Cris, do you want to?
Yeah, really great session, leveraging local LLMs. This is a hot topic. A lot of people are really interested in the various ways that you can protect your data so that it doesn't become part of the training data in these models. And one of the most popular of those various methods is to employ local language models. And the session on actually, the session on leveraging local language models, first of all, very brave for doing live implementations.
I know, right?
Ronnie,
Yeah.
and I certainly always appreciate when we see somebody do that. That's worth a applause. But I really liked, there was a phrase in there that really caught my attention. Local LLMs are like owning your own kitchen, not ordering takeout. And actually, I would even say not just ordering takeout, but like the Uber Eats with all the tax on top of it, and all, not really getting it as fresh as you would want from the kitchen. So,
Yeah.
really good leveraging there too. I know, Ronnie, that you watched that session as well.
Yeah, Xander did a great job. Not only showing how to do it, but why you might want to do it. And so he took some time, which I appreciate a lot, because again, like you said, we've heard a lot from customers and partners and saying that they've got these different concerns, and they would want to embrace AI, but they were looking at doing this within their own environment. And so Xander just dived right in, going through all the different challenges and reason why you want to do this before jumping into the technical aspect. But he went. I love it. He had a really great approach. He showed different methods, used different applications, and showed very quick and easy way to get up and running, even just for testing, right? And then left with several other options and things to look to kind of consider when you're going this route. It was really good. I also noticed that there was a lot of questions in the Q&A. There's a lot of questions about training and fine tuning local models as well, which is not surprising, as it is a hot topic there as well. But just being understanding that this is possible, especially considering how young the technology is, right from the public standpoint, is just really mind blowing. But yeah, it's all doable.
Ronnie, there was one thing that stuck out to me in the language the leveraging local LLM session. There's a question in there, a discussion about whether or not, there's advice actually about running these same, if you're talking about running local models, like keep in mind that does not come without some considerations. Like one of the things that was talked about in that session was whether or not you can run these models on your own local server, a FileMaker server, that is. Have you?
Yeah.
I mean, I know you're not doing that, but you want to talk a little bit about kind of the technical reasons why not.
Sure. No, I'll start by saying, like, in my own environment here, I am doing that. I'm not saying
Fair
you
enough.
should,
Sure.
but in my house, yes, I am doing that. But yeah, especially large language models are compute intensive, and they're especially intensive in using GPUs, not so much CPUs, which traditional servers are. So a lot of the servers that are out there probably are not or not very well equipped to run LLMs efficiently because of the hardware configuration. So you're probably going to want to set up a different computer to do that in general. There are situations where you can, where you might have a GPU. Like in my case, I've got a nice little setup over here, and it's and it can hold the load over here. But again, it's very compute intensive in the same way that you want to make sure that you set up your server with the capacity that it requires. That you might want to set that up, in a separate computer where than where your databases are hosted. With the first release of FileMaker Server, we're going to make sure that you can it'll be part of the installation, but we're looking at how to make this so that you'll have that in a separate machine. Some people are talking about, well, you can just install a separate FileMaker Server just to run your AI services, separate from have a separate deployment, so that you can have your AI running on one machine and your databases running on another one, and each one with the right configuration. So yeah, so there's a lot of considerations on hardware, on how to run. This is again, it requires has different requirements, right? So we have to make sure that we're addressing those as we make these deployments.
Yeah, Ian just called out in chat.
Oh, there he is.
The new Mac Minis.
Yeah, the
are a
studios.
good option.
Yeah, I mean that silicon is meant for the same type of AI processing on device. So
most Macs are really well equipped to run AI. It's just the hardware is just it's really fantastic. The GPU, the support for things like the M series chips are just built for this kind of stuff, and it runs really, really well. So highly recommend if you can. I was joking around the other day with somebody saying that most desktop computers are probably better equipped to run AI than most servers today.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Apple. Yeah, I mean the M series is specifically designed for that type of thing. So, no surprise.
Yeah, I think I just want to give a shout out to Steve Lane. The only AI session I got to attend as I was doing my job at Claris Engage this year was Steve Lane's turning soup into structure. So how do you take unstructured data that you've pulled maybe from a website or that you've collected over time and like turn that into actual actionable data, like break out, tease out from that, have AI assist you in teasing out all the data elements. And at the same time, manage hallucination and AI just making stuff up. I don't know. I think you guys both said you watched it as well.
I love that session because one of my favorite things doing with large language models, I know Cris, you and I've talked about this before, is going from unstructured to structured and structured to unstructured data. LLMs are just fantastic at doing that. And as a logic engine, as a developer, using that as a logic engine to do that transformation, LLMs are just a dream come true. And I love this session. Cris, what did you think?
Yeah, there was some pretty cool techniques that he was using there too, like entropy comparison, for example, and then like we talked about cosine similarity as well. I think I think the number 2 most common question that not only I get at my sessions or at our training day or just walking around is the first one is what about my data security, right? And then maybe even before that is the hallucinations one. And it's interesting because those almost contrast each other. If you're supplying your data, then you're controlling your truth. But if you're not supplying your data, then hallucinations are certainly something to be aware of. And he did some really interesting positioning on that about how they're plausible, not factual. And it was interesting how he said hallucinations aren't bugs, they're features.
I was literally going to say that, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to steal that.
No. But it was because I hear that a lot. People are very afraid of hallucinations, and I say, well, yeah, but that's one of the beauty of it, right? It is a feature; it's not a bug. It's part of the creativity, and you can control that. You can set how there are ways for you to constrain that and help that out, and part of that the session was about that, but acknowledging that it is a feature, that is one of the superpowers
Even further, this might be tough to wrap heads around, but like the fact that language models can answer questions is a residue of the training process. It's actually not what the intent was in the first place. What the intent was is to create these models with reasoning capabilities and logic and generation of text in response. And the fact that they have so much information in their latent intelligence and they can actually answer questions with any degree of accuracy is actually an amazing residue. That was not the intent. So I think people who look at the models and think, why aren't they done with these? Why, they're spending billions of dollars on compute and they still can't get answers right. Well, that actually wasn't the purpose of the models in the first place. And, when we're talking about embeddings, that's really fascinating part that doesn't involve latent intelligence. We're talking about just reasoning, which is really popular now. Researching using tools, agency, all that stuff is just really what they're intended to do in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the other thing that Steve brought home is you can use AI to automate a lot of the kind of tedious work, but you still need human intelligence at the end to verify and confirm, does this look right? So you can use AI models and some of the other information theory techniques he demonstrated to get to a confidence level, but then you can also flag things like this record needs human review, and then let the humans do what the humans are good at, which is that reasoning and analysis, reading, is this accurate or not, and let the machines do the things that are really boring and tedious for the humans to do.
That was actually a big emphasis of my session as well too, was in every example we showed how we brought humans into the process to validate whether establishing the acceptable score with human review on translations, or in the example of the 3M application, one of the things, we're creating product descriptions that need to pass legal review, and there's 1 million product descriptions that are created, and there's just not enough lawyers even in the entire enterprise to manage those. So we created a scoring system that said anything with a risk 3, 4, or 5 has to go to a human for review, and it just carries on through their normal process, and the stuff in the 1s or 2s just passes through. Even in the job placement, all of that, the job placement, not a single job is being decided by the AI. It's actually just sent over to the human experts, and just allowing them to process these things at scale and do them incredibly more efficiently and quicker than they were before. So really, it's all about, I like to tell our customers that we don't make robots in particular especially to replace people. We make Iron Man suits so that we can embellish the humans and give them superpowers.
Like
so I think people should really look at it that way, that's where a lot of these possibilities lie.
Yeah, I guess the last three AI sessions at Claris Engage were all delivered by Claris. So Ronnie, you did a session. You were also part of the fireside chat, and then a couple of our engineers, Wade and Derek, did a deep dive under the hood. And I heard good things just from around talking to attendees about all 3 sessions. Do you have any?
Yeah.
You have about 3 minutes to share some of your favorite highlights and takeaways from those sessions.
Well, I'll start with mine. So, I guess the least of the 3, the other the 3. I think it was again. I have a ton of fun presenting at Engage, and my goal this year, similar to last year, was just to show people what's possible, right? What can we do? Because there's a lot of hype and a lot of talk about AI, but as developers, we want to see practical applications. What can I actually do? What are the tools that are really going to allow me to do? What are the constraints? What are some of the issues that I might encounter? And so I went with it, kind of with that in mind, and how can we actually leverage it to extract data, extract insight from the existing data. How do we apply it to existing applications? So I went through a couple of examples using vector embeddings and semantic search, using now integration with large language models to extract information insights from existing data. A couple of demos there of analyzing, say, meeting notes and bringing out what action items, creating records after that with that, and then I did a live demo of the AI assistant that we saw earlier, and it was really fun. We had I asked some questions there live and had some people from the audience also make some ask some questions there too, and have it do a couple of things. And again, it just leveraging some of the scripts that were in there. But it was a lot of fun to, again, show what's capable, what we're practically able to do when we bring AI into our own applications. And before anybody, you're asking, yes, all of my demo files will become available. I'm just cleaning them up. They will be completely fully unlocked, and everybody will be able to go inside and play around with it. Again, I believe that the way that most of us learned is by looking at
yeah, and just Ronnie, just to clarify, your demos do use a lot of features that are coming in the next version of FileMaker, correct?
Some of them do, yeah. I tried to make them backwards compatible, and it's hard because I've been using the new features so much I can't. It's really hard, but I tried to make them backwards compatible so that they do work with FileMaker 2024. So the ones I release should work with both. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I just wanted to make
It's a
sure.
lot harder.
So,
Yeah, it's a lot harder. Trust me. It's a but I'm putting in the extra work. The fireside chat was really great. We it's funny because going in, we had a whole hour basically just having conversation among the panelists. We had Robert Holsey, my colleague, product manager. We had Wade Ju, who's one of our engineering architects there, and it was interesting because I thought, well, we have an entire hour which can be talking about some of the things that we showed during the keynote and answering the questions from the audience. And I'm like, are we really going to have enough? Are we really going to fill an entire hour of just questions talking? And sure enough, I mean, there was probably not enough. We could have gone for another hour.
Yeah,
There
you
were
went
some
over
great-
a couple minutes. There's
I know it was fantastic. It was just so great to have that level of engagement from the audience. It had some really great questions there, and we had some really nice discussions. Again, I highly recommend looking at the recording because I predict that a lot of the questions that were asked in the audience are questions that also people who are in the audience here today have there as well. And so it was just really great to have that.
Agreed.
Yeah. And then I think the last session, Rosemary, you mentioned the under the hood. That's just a deep dive. I mean, we have a long history of under the hood sessions at and engaged by our engineers, and this did not disappoint. Wade and Derek went deep into some of the new features in FileMaker 2025. How they work and how some of the expectations and some of the really kind of nuances of these features. So if you want to get a glimpse at a little bit more on the technical side of some of these features, that's the one to watch. It's really great. Both of them, Wade is a highly experienced person. Derek coming in, I think it's his first time at Engage, and he just did a fantastic job. So highly recommend watching it.
all right. Well, thanks. I'm just checking a couple of questions. I've just been replying in chat. I just want to call out, we have opened our closing survey. So if you can jump back into apps and take a look at Slido, let us know what you thought of the episode. And also what you're inspired to do. I'm sharing the word cloud of what people are inspired to do after watching this live stream. And so far, there's a lot of learn.
Awesome.
Explore setting up a local LLM. And I just want to remind, I think Angie and I both shared in the chat the link to our community live from last November about configuring a local LLM. And I will also if you missed links as they went by, I will share those in the community post as resources. I also just dropped a link for that community thread in the chat. And that is also where I will tell you that Ronnie's demo file is available. So recommend bookmarking that thread to get that notification in the next week or two. And also just want to call out that in 2 weeks, we'll be doing another kind of wrap-up Engage featured session. And I'll be talking to Klaus Levant, and he and I work together to build Engage to Go, which is the mobile app we release to all Claris Engage attendees. And we've now also made it available unlocked to anybody in the community who wants to explore that app. So we're going to take a deep dive under the hood and talk probably a little bit about our collaboration on how to get this app out, and then how Klaus enabled some of the really cool features like in-app updates. Because this is a completely offline app that has the capability to go out and say, hey, is there a new version of the app? Can I get, and then downloads it and then saves any user local data. He also did some really innovative stuff with maps and wayfinding so that people could, if you got off the elevator and said, I'm going to this session, you got a line on the map to tell you how to get to the room. So he's done some great work, and that it's a fun app to use. So I hope you join us in 2 weeks for that. And yes, the Engage app is now available to download, and give me 1 second and I will pull up the link. And I don't know if you guys want to share any last thoughts while I do that.
I'll start one thing. I mean, today we spoke mostly about the sessions, but I had as much, if not more, fun talking in between sessions with customers and partners. And a lot of people came up to me and were telling me about what they're doing, with their bringing AI into their environment, especially with FileMaker. And I saw so many applications. People came up to me. It was so great. People were showing me what they were doing. So excited. I saw so many really great implementations. Some of them were very simple, just like doing a summary of some text, or doing unstructured to structured stuff. But some of them were very complex. I mean, we saw. Cris, I think you and I saw some really great applications. I saw some of them were already announcing new applications, using AI to create complete business intelligence and creating charts and things like that.
Cool.
Like, there was some really complex stuff going on, and people are really embracing it. I don't know, Cris, if you had the same experience.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm really just measuring that from the previous year, and it's just incredible how quickly this community has picked up on this. And just like, over the last almost 40 years now, you guys give the tools, and the community responds with some of the cool stuff, and that will always continue. And this one quicker than a lot of the other releases. So bravo to the FileMaker community.
Yeah. I also was inspired to see what people are thinking about, and how they're starting to use the tools that we've included in FileMaker, and then also go beyond that to do even more. And I think all those community members who are doing more are really helping. Ronnie, are they pushing you and the product team?
They are totally, absolutely. That one of the reasons why a lot of people, kind of brought me aside was like, hey, here's what we're doing. However, it would be great if, if FileMaker or, Claris you could do X, Y, Z. And it's fantastic. I really want that. And I want to encourage everybody to just let us know, what are you working on? What are the roadblocks that you're encountering? Let us know so we can make a better product for you.
Yeah. And I just plug, a great place to do that is the Claris AI topic in Claris community. Ronnie reads that topic religiously. I kind of keep an eye on it. And there are a lot of community members who are developing expertise who are pretty active in those discussions as well. So that's a great place to start. And also, feel free to use the community live topic if you have topic suggestions or community members you'd like to hear from. You can post them there, or you can send them to me directly as well. So thanks, everyone, for joining us today. Thank you, Ronnie. Thank you, Cris, for your great work at Engage, and for joining me to debrief what we learned and what we saw. And I hope I see you all not next week, in 2 weeks, when Klaus joins me to talk about Engage to Go. Bye, everyone.